All set, Jesse.
Thank you. All right, we'll just wait another minute till 7:30 so we can get going. All right, so I have 7:30. So I'm going to call to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting for June 21st, 2021. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag, the United States of America. To the republic
which is
for which
Stand.
it stands,
one nation,
Nation,
God,
and God, indivisible,
indivisible,
Liberty,
liberty, and
justice.
justice for all.
men, born and unborn.
Okay, before we get started, I'd like to call for a moment of silence for Camilla Wiener. A lot of you people around town may know her. She passed away on June 2nd of this year. She served as the president of the Narragansett South Kingstown League of Women Voters. She was also active in the Daughters of the American Revolution. And she received the notable Order of the Rockingham Arch from the town of Narragansett. Really well-known advocate for voting rights and served in that League of Women's Voters for quite a while. So if we could just do a quick moment of silence, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to start with the approval of minutes. First, we have the May 3rd, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Eva. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
The Kopic, aye.
Patrick.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Next, we have our announcements and presentations. We're going to start with the 2019 American Red Cross Aquatic Examiner Service Participant Award for the town of Narragansett, and we're going to have Michelle Kershaw go ahead and present that or make that announcement.
Hi, good evening. In 2019, our lifeguard staff worked with the American Red Cross to develop goals to improve operations, training, and performance at Narragansett Town Beach. This program was designed to increase lifeguard accountability, attention to safety, professionalism, and pride. It was also to reinforce and strengthen the lifeguards' emergency response skills and to maintain high lifeguarding operational standards. Needless to say, our lifeguard team did exceptional and received this award. And unfortunately, due to COVID-19, it didn't arrive at our doorstep until a week or two ago. And we are happy to receive this award because our lifeguard staff, as we all know, does an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next we have an announcement presentation on Sunset Farm Trail / Eagle Scout project from Joe LaValle. Dan, do we have Joe? Oh, or I think, yeah, I believe.
I have Joe and Stephen. Just bringing in Stephen, and Joe is next.
Okay. Joe, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So I believe you guys sent over some slides to Dan Holland.
Yes,
wanna-
I could share it if you need me to as well.
Okay, great. Dan, do we have those ready?
We do. I am ready for him. Yep. Should be seeing those now.
Yes.
All right, Joe, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right. Good evening. I am Joseph Lavallee, and I'm a member of Troop 44 Matunic. I've lived in Narragansett my whole life. I contacted the Narragansett Land Trust when searching for an Eagle Scout project, and they provided me with this opportunity. I carried out my project on May 1st of this year. My Eagle Scout project was to clear 3 trails to add to the Sunset Farm Trail Loop. The first piece connects Island View Road to the loop. The second extends a trail to the pond, and the third bypasses a washout area on the existing loop. The Scouts helped to clear a trail along an old stone wall. We opened up part of the wall to allow for easy access to Island View Road from the trail loop. The completion of the second trail exceeded my expectations due to the hard work of my fellow Scouts widening the trail. This trail was full of briars and was about a foot wide before the project. I also built a bench with a fellow Scout on a previous date, and we installed it the day of the project. The third trail was a bypass of a washed out area. We finished clearing all 3 trails in under 3 hours, so we had some time to complete some extra work for the Land Trust, clearing an old sheep wall. Troop 44 Matunic is proud to be the first troop to camp on this trail. We set up our tents in a clearing near Point Judith Pond. I had 22 Scout volunteers who put in about 110 man-hours of labor toward my project. This is not including the many adult volunteers who had helped. I would like to thank Mr. Brunetto and Mr. Rogers of the Narragansett Land Conservancy Trust for the opportunity to complete my project in my hometown. Working with these gentlemen from this organization was a pleasure. Through fundraising, I exceeded the amount of money to cover the cost of my project, and I would like to donate $150 to the Land Trust. Thank you for your time and attention.
Joseph, we're so proud of you. Well
Yeah,
done.
great job, Joe. Thank
Nice
you.
job, Joe.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you for presenting that, and definitely, for that generous donation to the Land Trust as well.
Thank you.
And I've been on that trail a few times with the Land Trust. It's really a great trail, and that path to the water is really a big improvement as well, because that's such a great view when you get all the way back there. So thanks for that. Congratulations on the project.
Thank you.
Congrats, Joseph. Maybe you can run in 2022 here, okay? For the town council. You can have
Keep
my
up the great
support.
work on the Scouts. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Good kid, good kid.
All right, thank you again. So next we have our open forum, public comment portion of the meeting. So, sorry, we normally don't get through this quick. I'm a little thrown off by that. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And remember, the open forum is for comments and thoughts on items not on the agenda. So if there's anything on the agenda tonight, please save those thoughts till we get to those items. But for anyone interested in speaking on something else, feel free to raise your hand, and we will get to you now. So Dan, who do we have first?
First is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I want to talk about justice for all. As you always say, liberty and justice for all at every meeting, and rightfully so. As we talk about justice, I want to bring up the idea about noise. Noise is an issue in Narragansett sometimes. There was a family next door who talked loud late into the night. At another time, there was a barking dog. and I needed to sleep because I had to go I was working a third shift. And the dog was really barking, really bothered me. And it did take 3 calls to the police at that, I'm talking like 10 years ago. It did take 3 calls to the police before they did respond because it was a very busy night. So I can't fault the police, but they did send somebody there. And it did stop it. It did work. Police action was the solution to noise. You know, I'm not about to come here and say, well, let's get a law to stop families from having young kids around who make a lot of noise. I don't want all these families with these young kids who might be screaming or have dogs. So that's not a solution to the noise issue. So it's justice for all. We don't get rid of families with loud people. And rightfully so, I hope we don't use the same un-American idea on getting rid of students for loud noise. We must allow the police time to do their job, which they have been doing very well according to statistics out there. And they need more time, and they're doing a good job. No need to discriminate in an unjust and lack of a liberty for us people. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Dan, who's up next?
Next is Karen Shevchalowitz.
Karen, please state your full name and address.
I'll leave it.
Karen Shevchalowitz, 63 Wanda Street. I did have my hand up to thank the young man who did the excellent job of clearing the path. I think that is a really good project and really good volunteer area for a lot of seniors. I've had tick disease at least 3 times pretty badly. And a few of my children are very allergic to poison ivy. So by clearing the path, it makes it more accessible to other people. And I think it's great they did it, and he was able to give a donation to the town. And I would encourage other Narragansett youth to volunteer to do that. I think it's a wonderful thing, and thank you. I also have a daughter and a son-in-law that walked the whole Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, and that's quite an accomplishment. So it's nice to see that somebody in the community cares about the trails for nature. All right, the main reason I'm calling now is I'd like to see if the town couldn't do something more about increasing the transportation, particularly for seniors. The public transportation that innervates Narragansett is particularly lacking and particularly sparse. There is a senior bus from Narragansett that has a limit of 19 hours driving giving meals to people, which was essential during the pandemic, and also bringing seniors to things like the drugstore, grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, physical therapy, and things like that. It's very, very difficult for someone that doesn't drive to get around even into Wakefield. And I can't understand why a town that has all these buses that are owned by the school department or the town and has mini buses can't work out some sort of deal where they are able to use these buses to help seniors during the day. We have a large number of seniors, and seniors aren't getting any younger, they're just getting older. And there's a large number of them. And please explain to me why we can't use some of the buses, like the mini buses, to help supplement the senior transportation. And also I called Jim Tierney about the difficulty about getting around the medical appointments with the program the state offers, which is MTM, which is very sad. It's not very effective in many
Karen,
cases.
we're at 3 minutes. I just want to let you know. All right. All right. Thank you, Karen. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Gail.
Gail, please state your full name and address.
Good evening. My name is Gail Scowcroft, 19B Prospect Avenue, Narragansett. Good evening. I'm following up with you, the Narragansett Town Council, on the open letter that was published in the Narragansett Times to you on Friday. And I want you to know that Friday evening, there was another round of multiple over 120 comments written about the Friends of Narragansett Town Beach. Most of them very nasty, name-calling, libelous comments. And I had written that letter to you so that you would be aware and that people in town would be aware that this group, led by Conrad Furla, who I believe many of you know, the Rhode Island Coastal Access Right-of-Way Group, it is a very nasty group of folks when they feel threatened by whatever. I also wanted to let you know that our group has never, ever had a position of limiting access to anyone coming onto our beach. That's not our platform. It's not what we stand for. We've spent lots of hours working to help have a better beach experience for our residents and guests. We've volunteered our time, and we only want the best for everybody that comes to our beach. But I do want you to understand what this group is like that you are all members of, excepting for Deb. I also wanted you to know that some of the libelous comments that they posted Friday evening included a fact that Conrad said he went to the Narragansett police to see if I had filed a complaint about the threatening email that I had received. And he said that I was a liar, that I didn't do that. And I can assure you that there was a formal complaint formed with our town police. And now the state police are looking into it because of the nature of the email server from which the email came. So please know what this group is up to. We want to see everyone be able to enjoy our beach and be safe and have, a good experience there. No one is looking, the Friends of Narragansett Town Beach is looking to limit access to any one group or any individual. And I'm very disappointed that some of you have given Conrad Furla a lot of your support. And there are some issues remaining in town. There's lawsuits, et cetera. And this individual is well known to both the state police and the town police. So please take this under consideration when you're deliberating about collaborating with this group of people. And finally, the last thing that I do want to advocate for with you guys is the consideration of a carrying capacity study for our beach. I think it's long overdue. We really need to get a handle on overcrowding, and such a study would give you the data that you need to make informed decisions. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Dan, who do we have up next?
Next is Laurie Kelly.
Lori, please state your full name and address.
Lori Kelly, 444 Ocean Road. I just want to once again give a brief update on the library building project. We continue to work diligently on this. We're having meetings on design, pretty constantly with the architects, a lot of back and forth. It may seem like it's going slowly, but just think about the huge numbers of decisions that we have to make in building this out and outfitting it. So we are still working on the floor plans, and after that, we'll have to get into where desks and furnitures in particular rooms are going to be, and then into that final design as to actually picking the fixtures and design. So it is a monumental job, but feel feel sure that we're all working at our fastest ability. On June 10th, the architects, which is HBM, conducted a public meeting to gain insight for the design piece and how the Narragansett patrons of the library view our design. It was a very exciting program. They presented pictures of recent library design and the public got to comment. We're still getting very positive comments on this. And we also, because this project has gone on so long, we have a focus group work that we did with our patrons from 2016 to 2018. And all of that is helping to focus the vision for the design team. Late tonight, I just got a link that we will be putting up on one of the library pages. And that's, a recap of the June 10th presentation with the pictures. And again, if you follow this, I'm not sure how it's going to work, but you will be able to comment, I love this picture, let's do that, or that's not right for Narragansett. Again, we're still being subjected to people throwing around numbers as if they know what the project's going to cost. So I feel like every week I should be just commenting. The bond was passed in 2016 for 5.8 million. That is the maximum number the town is going to be responsible for. The town purchased in October 18 the second floor of the building and the Belmont supermarket building, and issued library bonds for 2.4 million this past February. So that leaves 3.4 million for the renovation and outfitting of the library. I don't know how other people are getting this number wrong, but it's 3.4 million left on the bond. After that, we will have, we are filing for state grant and aid and some major foundations that support libraries, but none of those applications can go in until we have our final design. So that's the delay as to saying, oh, we have this grant or we've been promised this money. For those of you the generous people in Narragansett and beyond that have donated money or pledged, this summer is going to be an exciting time. We're going to, be doing more fundraising for everyone to support your library, but also those who have pledged, it's time now to think about writing the checks, because we do need to have this money in hand as we go into the late fall and start our construction. And again, briefly, yes, the building costs are up. The wood prices are, much higher than they were, but we are very lucky to the councilmen, this council and the councilmen who were integral in buying the building, in 2018, because can you imagine if we were trying to build an all new library now? What we have now is an excellent building that we got at a fantastic price. And the construction inflation is really only going to be on that 3.4. So, it was a really good deal. Thank you, Susan. You were on the council then, and also Patrick for having the foresight for purchasing the building. So this plan is coming together. We're very excited, and I will try to, keep everyone updated. And as we get closer to a floor plan, check back with the library website, because we hope to be posting, some preliminary things soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Dan, who do we have up next?
Next is Catherine Ciliberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Ciliberto, 48 Earls Court. I'm going to direct my comment to Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, you can't weigh in on Jesse's motion to schedule a public hearing on a student ordinance. Over the past 5 years, you really should not have weighed in on any discussion which speaks to the limiting of rentals. Still, you have done so. On your financial disclosure, you wrote residential properties under employer, and then you stated you're a realtor broker. You make a living from the buying and selling of commercial real estate, multifamily houses, and single-family houses, which have been converted to rentals. Further, your employer reaps tens of thousands of dollars each year from student tourist rentals in town. I have a list, Patrick. And here's another one. How many houses in Eastwood Look have you sold over the years which have been converted to rentals? Then you had the hubris to tell those people in that neighborhood who raised their kids there that their neighborhood was gone. You forgot who you're representing. You forgot that you were elected to represent the residents, not your employer or yourself. The limiting number of students in each of these rentals will clearly impact residential properties. Limiting the number of students in each of these rentals will impact the commission you receive on each of these sales because the prices of these properties are directly related to the amount of income they can generate. Personally, you own a rental on Narragansett Avenue, and it's irrelevant if it's an annual rental right now. If a 3-student ordinance is passed, it will impinge on your ability to rent that to students and as a summer rental. You would be impacted financially, would also impact the amount of money that you get for that house should you sell it. You've already committed numerous ethical violations over the past 5 years. You should have never spoken ever on a four unrelated ordinance or a 3-student ordinance. The last violation was when you seconded Ms. Bonanno's motion to appeal Taft Carter's decision. That decision is unappealable, you know it, and yet you were ready to spend taxpayer money to do it because this is what the rental owners want. They put this stuff out on the internet. This is how dumb they are. They wanted to delay Jesse's motion for 2 or 3 years pending an appeal, and then they wanted to, now the next thing is this, they want to stop this 3-student. They don't want it to go forward to a public hearing. They're ridiculous. They put this stuff out there. Anyway, the next, so again, you're the realtor and rental owners representative on the town council. Any fool can see this. People talk about it all the time. It's just that I guess I'm the only one with the stones to say something. You really need to turn off your mic tonight and not participate in this. If you do, I will file an ethical complaint against you with the Ethics Commission. You can go back 6 years on ethics complaints. I have a list of 5 years of times you spoke about this ordinance, something that directly affects you, and you just can't do it. I mean, it's just really common sense, Patrick. You should have not done it.
All right, Catherine, I think you're past the.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, if you want to go ahead and respond to that, you're free to do it. I don't think there's any ethical violations happening here, but you can go ahead.
Well, I'd like to mute and turn the TV off and go away, but I'm committed to November 2022, so I will comment on this. I do not do student rentals, and property I own on Narragansett is a duplex with 2 bedrooms each, so the 3 unrelated or student rental policy would not affect me, okay? I don't believe I've ever sold a house in Eastwood Look. I did sell a lot 2 years ago, and the guy received approval for a 4-bedroom house, which he has taken no action. So I don't know where this is coming from. I guess, I don't know. I'm a burr under somebody's saddle, but I've been honest. I'm a real estate broker since, geez, I've had a license since the early 90s. I don't push the student rental agenda. And I just think that the 3-student agenda is actually having the opposite effect of providing families affordable housing, because you're turning 3-bedroom homes into.
Patrick, let's stay on the topic.
Right. But well, it is the topic because.
I know, well.
Because, you know, that is the reason why I was against it, not because of my, you know, I am a real estate broker. I do a lot of commercial stuff, which has nothing to do with student rentals. So I don't know where this is coming from, and you're going to do a FOIA request, APRA request, or any request. It's Murray with 2 R's. So.
All right. Let's go ahead. We'll take one more public comment before we get to the public hearing scheduling. So who do we have next, Dan?
Next is Joe Lembo.
Joe, please state your full name and address.
Joe Lembo, 20 Black Alder Trail, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Councilor President, I thought this was open forum and we were not supposed to be addressing an issue that's on the agenda.
Right, so the issue on the
agenda.
agenda.
You can't answer it, Jesse. I'm just.
Joe, you just asked a question. On the agenda is the scheduling of a public hearing. There won't be discussion on the merits of the ordinance. It's on the date. So we do not have this topic in terms of the substance of this ordinance on the agenda tonight.
All right, then thank you for that clarity. But this also brings me to a point, so I'm going to take another minute. At some point, the council in these open forums needs to address we have to stop these non-resident, people with no skin in the game from speaking such misinformation, disinformation, slanderous type of accusations in an open public forum where, at least here, Patrick was afforded an opportunity to state his case. In other times, I was not afforded that. And many other people are not. So if we want to start talking ethic violations and accusations, I think this council really needs to reel in this open forum opportunity, to keep it as an opportunity to really speak on concrete items. Thank you.
Lumbo, all right. We will get back to open forum after we work on these two public hearing schedulings. So why don't we go ahead to that portion? So we have, to start with, a motion to reschedule a public hearing on an application from 901 Ocean Road Holdings LLC to amend Chapter 731 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, entitled Zoning, proposing a new section 12.23, Development Standard for Extended Stay Hotels, and amending section 6.3, Prohibited Uses, Table Use Regulations. Do we have a
I'll
motion?
move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So basically it's a rescheduling. There was just an error in some paperwork and the address was actually wrong. So when we advertised the public hearing, we had the wrong address, which was given to us by the applicant. So this would be rescheduled to August 2nd. So any questions or comments from the council on that?
No, all set.
Okay. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Wozzachowski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick,
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse View, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 731 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, entitled Zoning, specifically text revisions at Section 2.2, Definitions, and a new Section 7.21, Student Occupied Dwellings.
I'll
Do we have
move
a
the
motion?
motion.
Is there a
Susan
second?
Cicilline Bonanno.
Thanks, Susan. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Patrick. So this is a motion that I put on. So I'm just going to give a very brief summary of this. We'll take some quick public comment. Remember, this is only on the scheduling, and we'll take some council comment as well. So the reason I put this on is because we had this ordinance in place in our code of ordinances based on the approval from the last town council. For everyone who's read the ruling from the judge, the reason why this injunction was put into place by the judge was specifically because of a procedural error during the public hearing. So that was the lack of due process and the fact that the previous council president did not take public comment from everybody who had their hand up during the Zoom meeting of that public hearing. It was not based on the substance of the ordinance and not on the merit of the ordinance in that specific ruling. So that's not what the case was about. The case was about procedure. And that's why this injunction was put in place. As far as I know, nobody on this council over the last, how long we've been on the council? 8 months, 7 or 8 months. Nobody on the council took action to rescind the ordinance. I know we had that workshop, and briefly we had a item to discuss it, which was pulled. So, that happened. Nobody took the concrete steps to get rid of this ordinance. We had our town manager and building inspection working on enforcement, and the ordinance, the 3-student ordinance, would have been enforced starting in September. So if we were not going to rescind it, and again, as far as I know, then do we want for it to be gone because of a procedural error? So my point is that let's have the debate with this council. Let's let the public speak on it. Let's have an open mind and listen to both sides of the debate, and then vote and, and give it the full process that I think the ordinance deserves, whatever the outcome ends up being. So that's where I'm at on it. I'm going to go around the council real quick and into the public. Susan, do you have any thoughts or comments?
Yeah, so no, I definitely can support a public hearing to debate it again. I know it's been debated ad nauseum. I think the public knows where I stand on it. I was, much in favor of the 4 unrelated, but I'm happy to hear from the public, hear both sides of the issue and keep an open mind. But generally speaking, too restricted for me, but I'll vote yes tonight for the public hearing.
Thank you. Eva?
So I'm happy just to listen to the public initially and to all the other council members first.
Okay. Deb?
I am in the same place as Susan and Eva.
All right. Patrick?
All right, so I'm the bad guy. Well,
Remember, this is for just
I don't,
scheduling.
yes, I know it's a scheduling. I don't support this, okay? Again, I think the 3 student is turning 3-bedroom homes and costing the price per bedroom. It was $500-600, now it's $600 to $800 per bedroom, and you're eliminating affordable houses, like smaller houses that are, $400,000 instead of $600,000 for a 5-bedroom house. So you're actually eliminating inventory for families to purchase. So this is why I'm against it. I think it's been my position that a 4-student, 4 unrelated policy would be, more easier to control than opening up a new demographics of 3-bedroom homes to monitor. So I am not going to move forward with the open meeting for this, the public hearing. So it's up to these others. Put me down for no, and it's up to this other council members. Thank you.
All right. Dan, who do we have with their hand up?
First, we have Lynn Morgan.
All right. Lynn, the solicitor is going to swear you in. Actually, no, we're not doing that because this is just for scheduling. So please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and just a reminder, this is specifically on the scheduling and the date of this public hearing. And actually really quick, I just want to let the council know, I have the 12th on here of July. I'd like to actually change that to July 26th. So it would be the other off Monday in July. So this would be an off Monday to give the public time to speak, not interfere with the rest of our meeting. So July 26th is the date that we're looking at. All right, Lynn, go ahead.
Yes,
If you
good
can state
evening.
your full name and address.
Yes, good evening. My name is Lynn Morgan, 7 Woodruff Street, Narragansett. Thank you first and foremost, town council members, for your time and effort. Civic duty is never an easy task, and I applaud your efforts. Please, please consider the 3-person limit for students. If it was in my power or I was on the town council, I would ask you to limit it to 2. Crowds are not an easy thing. Chief Corrigan is very familiar with my name. I send various pictures, phone messages, detailed accounts of ridiculous situations, which you've heard ad nauseum, and I can continue ad nauseum with those, but with a 33-minute limitation, I will not go into that.
Lynn, I just want to remind you, just for this tonight, we're just really working on the date. There will be a chance to speak on the substance when we have the public hearing.
Exactly.
Okay.
I fail to understand in this town of Narragansett, we voted on a library. Years later, these wonderful individuals are now being able to get this passed. We decided on a 3-person limit, and for some reason in Narragansett or in the state of Rhode Island, meetings are not justified, and it comes back to town council. Do we just keep doing it until people get what they want? I'm not sure how democracy works in the town of Narragansett, and anyone who would like to explain that to me, I would truly appreciate it. Please consider the meeting, and please, I implore you, do your job, do the civic duty, limit the 3-student occupation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address, and if you could stay on the topic of the scheduling, appreciate it.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Bosnick Road. I do not approve of scheduling a meeting which has plans to discriminate in violation of liberty and justice for all. Is it right to remove liberty to live in a house from human beings because they are students? Will summer rentals have their set of living restrictions in the future based on some determination? I want to say loudly, please behave with liberty and justice for all. This is a noise problem, not a living problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Dan, anyone left?
Next is Paul Zanfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address. Keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, Paul Zanfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. Please schedule a hearing. I look forward to showing Mr. Murray some numbers. I don't believe his statement about the 3 make any sense at all, and it'd be great to have a public hearing to air that all out. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. All right, looks like that is it for hands up. Oh, there's one more. Dan, looks like Catherine.
Yes, Catherine Celebrato.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. Obviously, I'm in favor of scheduling a public hearing. I think maybe a lot of the residents were distracted with the problems with the last town council, and they were fixated on the library, and they really didn't pay enough attention to this issue. I think now that the library seems to be all set, they have a clearer view of what's going on. And just like this woman who just spoke, I think there'll be plenty of people to come forward to express their opinion about this, and they should all be heard. And I also look forward to disputing Patrick's numbers from his own website. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, so it looks like that is it. Before we take the vote, again, I just want to stress that I hope the council will at least go ahead and schedule this. So we have a chance to have a discussion, look through some data, and also some anecdotal evidence, stories, that sort of thing. I think it'd be worth our time. I think it's fair to the residents who were happy when this came in, who, you know, whether it passes or not, at least go through the process rather than have it just fall because of an error. So that's it. I'll go around one more time. Susan, any last comments?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, Eva?
Yeah, so I've always said it doesn't, I don't think it matters whether it's 3 or 4, it's the enforcement piece that's really important. I know it was like a procedural issue, so it's fine. I think just the public hearing, being able to address everyone's concerns and hear everybody, like you said, whether it passes or not. The public does want it, and they want to be heard. And I think a lot of individuals were not heard the last time. So I think this is a great opportunity.
All right, thank you, Eva. Deb?
I have no comments.
Okay, Patrick, do you want to speak again? Or
I'm all set.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and call the vote. So this is scheduling the public hearing for July 26th, 2021. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 4-1. Okay, so as soon as anyone's hands up for, all right, doesn't look like there's any hands up for a public forum. So we're going to go to the consent agenda. Are there any items any council members would like to pull from consent or have removed?
Could we pull number 3? I just want to ask a question.
Yep. All right. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of number 3?
I'll move the motion to approve the consent agenda absent number 3.
I'll second
All right.
that.
All right, motion by Susan, seconded by Eva. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 3 on consent is a motion to award the bid for the purchase and installation of trees in Galilee to the lowest bidder, Clark Farms Incorporated, in the amount of $7,578.76. Do we have a
I'll
motion?
move the motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Deb. Deb, you could go ahead and just ask whatever questions you have on this.
I just have one. I'm a fan of trees, so I just want to make that point, and I'm a fan of trees in Galilee. So the only question I had was, are these trees warranted for any period of time? Does anybody know the answer to that?
I don't know about the warranty.
Just because, at nearly $1,000 a tree, I'd like to know that if they die, and sometimes trees do, in the first year, I'd like to know that we have, an option to get them replanted, to get
Right.
one.
Jim, do you know any info on that, or maybe?
I'm Mike, are you aware of the ones that we've been purchasing, whether they come with any type of warranty? I am not.
You're on mute, Mike. There you go.
I'm not sure, but I can check with Steve in the morning, but I would say that there's at least a 1 year.
Okay, I probably should have called you beforehand. I apologize, but that's fine. I'm good.
Yeah, I can double check with that in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Question. All right, any other questions by the council?
So are we gonna?
Yeah,
so
we
we're gonna
can-
vote.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah, I'm
think
okay with
it's
that.
a year, and if it's a little short of that, it's something just to be mindful of. The
For the
warranties.
future, yeah.
And you are a tree lover, so I'm gonna
I
say
am.
Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
All right, so all in favor, Susan's aye. Deb, or sorry, Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick,
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Under new business, number 9 is human resources. A motion to approve the filling of 1 vacancy, Parks and Recreation Department clerk, due to a promotion.
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
All right,
Second.
second by Eva. Any questions from the council?
Yeah, just Michelle, so congratulations to you, and so that vacates your position, and that's an internal position that's gonna be filled? Is that
That's
how it goes?
correct. That's correct. So a week from today, a clerk from another department in town will be transferring in. So I look forward to that.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from any council members? Okay. All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 10 is a motion to appoint Aaron Jacobs as tax assessor for the town of Narragansett effective July 12th, 2021.
I'll move the motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions from the council?
No,
All
it
right.
was due to a resignation? Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, Dave.
It was a resignation, and that's how he's got that spot.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye. Congrats, Aaron. It's about time you took that job. Thank you.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 11 is a motion to approve the filling of 1 vacancy deputy tax assessor due to a promotion. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second? All right, seconded by Eva. Any questions from the council? Okay, all in favor?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 12 from the Building Inspection Department is a motion to approve the contractual agreement between the town of Narragansett and Anthony Wojcik to perform electrical inspections for the building officials office from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
I'll move the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Eva. Any questions or comments from the council?
I just, technical comment is that in the summary, it refers to an annual salary, and this is a contract position. So I think we probably need to use slightly different language when we're stating this. I think it's in the next one too. It's fine for now, but I just, it can get confusing if you say salary and people assume that they're, town employees.
Okay.
Can we amend that to change it to not say annual salaries and then vote yes on them?
I think we can vote yes on them without,
Summary,
and it just for next time around, just want to be careful of that.
Great point, Deb.
All right, and to be totally clear, it's a contract. There's no benefits or anything like that.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Start with
Susan
Susan.
Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Yeah.
There's actually a hand up, so I don't know when it came up, but we'll go ahead and take comment. Dan, if you can move Catherine over. Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. My only concern with this is it says $25 per hour. And when we subcontract work out, I believe, or when we give out contracts when people bid, we're supposed to pay prevailing wage. And this isn't prevailing wage, obviously $25 an hour for an electrician. So I'm just unclear about how this works. Why can he, charge $25 an hour and we can subcontract this work to him when it's not the prevailing wage for that type of work? Bids? I'm unclear. I mean, I wish somebody would tell me. So I'd like an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Jim, so for these contracts, these are basically retainers, right? So flat fee for work for a year. I know, when I do contract work and retainer work, I give a discounted rate for the stability and the security of having that retainer. So it's a little bit, so is that similar to what we're doing?
Yes, and this, there was underpaid. The previous contract, after it was approved last year, both of the contractors had approached the town, and I had a building official do a deep dive into what they were being paid, what they were actually doing, and they were severely underpaid for people in similar positions throughout the state. And it's an agreement for an annual stipend is what it is.
Right, and it is like a 50% increase or something like that, right? It looks like.
It's at 8,000. It was 15,000.
Right. Okay. And yeah, okay. All right. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the council? Okay. So Susan was already voted. Eva, all in favor?
Yeah, Eva Shinsky, aye.
All right. Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 13 is a motion to approve the contractual agreement between the town of Narragansett and James Harris to perform plumbing and mechanical inspections for the building officials office from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
And is there a second?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Second.
Second by Eva. So it looks like the same amount in the contract here. Any questions from the council?
No, it's the same justification, Jim, right? Underpaid.
Yeah.
The same.
That is correct.
Okay. Dan, who do we have with their hand up?
Yeah, Catherine Ciliberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. Is the solicitor on? I just want to know if these people who are paid by contract don't have to be paid prevailing wage, as opposed to somebody who bids for a job like the Clark Farms, they bid to plant the trees. They're supposed to be paying their employees prevailing wage to do that. Is this a different category? I mean, you know, what Jim said wasn't really an answer to my question. I just want to know if we're doing the right thing here. Thank
Jesse,
you.
could I just?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim. That's fine.
If the caller, Ms. Celebrato, mentioned electrician, he's an inspector. He's not performing electrical service. He is just doing the inspections of electrical work, as in.
I'm unclear about that. Okay.
Yeah, okay, why don't we, that's fine. We'll go ahead and ask Mark. I think it's a good question. Mark, are you aware of if this type of contract would be outside of the requirements of prevailing wage?
I'm not aware that this is subject to prevailing wage. I believe this falls outside of it. I can get the actual site if you'd like, but I believe this falls outside of that.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, this has been a standard practice for years.
Yeah, I know, but.
And it applies to, there are these services provided for every discipline within the building. So I'll get you the site, but it falls without outside of that prevailing rate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. And we'll follow up with you on that. All right. So all in favor, starting with Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Deb, or sorry about that. Eva?
Aye.
Deb?
You're gonna give her a complex, stop it. Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick? Patrick?
Yes, I'll support this. Both contractors do excellent service for the town of Narragansett. So this has been long overdue. Thank you.
All right, Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 14 from the fire department is a motion to approve the renewal of the prorated 2-year service agreement for 5 LifePak 15 defibrillators, 1 Lucas chest compression system, 1 Stryker power cot, and 3 Stryker stair chairs from Stryker Medical Inc. in the total amount of $11,276.38, payable in annual installments of $5,638.19, and to authorize the town manager to sign the contract after review by the town solicitor.
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. So this comes from the operating account from the fire department. So I don't believe there's any grants or anything like that involved. Do we have any questions or comments from the council?
Almost set.
Okay, anyone want to hear from the chief or everyone? Good.
Just more of his good work.
Good work.
Good work.
All right, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Start with Susan, all in favor?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Drzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 15 is a motion to approve the donation of a 1997 E1 fire pumper, formerly reserved NFD Engine 4, to the Rhode Island Fire Training Academy in Exeter, Rhode Island. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
I'll second.
Cicilline Bonanno.
Okay, seconded by Eva. Any questions from the council? Okay, all in favor, start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Drzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 16 is actually going to be pulled from this meeting. We just had a issue with the date, and we're going to just get that straightened out. It'll be on the next agenda. So number 17 from community development is, oh, so sorry, Janet, we don't need to make a motion. We can just pull it, right? Right, yeah, we can just pull it. Okay.
Michelle has to pull it.
Oh, okay.
So Jesse, yes, the organizers of that event, they've had a conflict with the date on the 22nd. So I do respectfully request this be pulled for the next town council meeting on July 6th.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. We'll get that taken care of.
Yeah, need some more of that action.
Mike, do you want to pull this one too? No, just kidding. We don't want to pull this. Number 17.
No, sir.
It's been long enough. Number 17 is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 731 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, titled Zoning, specifically text revisions to Section 2.2, definitions, Section 6.4, dimensional regulations, Section 7.6, supplementary lot and bulk regulations, Section 7.9, automobile parking space, Section 7.10, plans and specifications for parking requirements, and plus the addition of a new section 12.23, development standards for homes exceeding 4 bedrooms. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. So this is the second reading of the bulk zoning amendments. We've already had the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the council before we vote on the second reading?
I think that we've done a lot of work on this, and what's ringing in my ears, what Steve Marcella said, if we adopt this and there should be anything that needs to tweak or be changed as we're living with the ordinance, we have the ability to do that. So we spent some time, changing it, moving around to fit. So I feel really comfortable with saying yes to this ordinance tonight, and look forward to seeing how it's going to impact the town. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Susan. Have any comments?
No comments.
Deb?
No comments.
I have a comment. I have a question for Mike. Michael, how you
Yes,
doing?
sir.
How you doing? Good.
Good.
So this is basically, we're attempting here to not build these mammoth houses where they can be student rentals, correct?
Well, I won't even speak to the student rental component of it. We're trying to put in place regulations that balance the size of a house, or what we call the massing of a house, with the land on which it sits.
On a ratio
And-
basis.
Yes, thank you.
On the
Correct.
far.
On a ratio basis.
All right, thank you.
On
Well,
the
there
far,
goes-
right?
There goes my student rental career. Thank you. I will support this.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. Before we vote, just want to thank Mike again, like Susie did, for all the work you've done on this. I know you've taken a ton of public feedback and kind of integrated that in and made the changes that we needed. Also want to thank the planning board for the work they did, the public for all the comments and the feedback, and then the previous council for the work that they put in on this as well. So let's go ahead and take the vote. Start with Susan. All in favor?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
And Patrick?
Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 18.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Number 18 from Public Works is a motion to approve the purchase of cold patch and hot patch based on the State of Rhode Island Master Price Agreement for asphalt. Cold patch, hot patch, berm mix, and winter mix. Cold patch delivered at $130 a ton from D'Ambra Construction Co. Incorporated, and hot patch picked up at $74 a ton from J.H. Lynch and Sons Incorporated through the expiration of the contract. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. So does anyone on the council have any questions for Mike? Okay. Any comments in general? Okay. All right. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
And Patrick?
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 19 is a motion to waive the current policy and authorize the use of the miscellaneous repair and construction services contract with George Sherman Sand and Gravel Incorporated to complete drainage improvements on Crosswinds Drive in the amount of $90,000. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
seconded by Eva. Any questions or comments from the council? And this comes from Public Works Capital Projects Fund. All right. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Kuzminski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick,
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 20 is a motion to approve the proposal for professional engineering services related to Sandy Beach Road coastal protection from Beta Group, Inc. in the amount of $18,790.
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
I'll second.
Seconded by Eva. Any questions or comments from the council?
I have a question. I was just wondering if there's, I mean, I read through all this and I'm clearly not an expert on it, but I was wondering if there was any way to do any natural mitigation here instead of, a wall. And I have no idea if that's possible or not. I looked it up a little bit, but in my mind, anytime you're doing something coastal, the closer you can get to a natural solution, the better off we all are in the future. But I don't know. So Mike.
Well, this is not like a concrete wall. This is going to be a stone,
right?
Stone embankment wall, kind of like the break walls down in Galilee.
But this is right on the land, though, right? It's not going out into the water.
Well, the water is right up against the land, eroding it away. That's why we have to put the wall. Because if we don't do anything,
right,
the road won't be there any longer.
Well, I know that. I was just wondering if there was another solution, but
Well, it's either do a rock wall like a seawall, or we pour a concrete seawall.
So what's the life expectancy of a rock wall in that case? Like, how long will it last? Do you know? Any idea? Because we have rising sea levels, and including the pond, and so.
Well, I mean, it'd be quite a while because it's well up the pond, so it's only holding the high tides, the moon tides, and the king tides back, versus like the center wall, which is holding open ocean, and and those rocks constantly move. Once these rocks are put in place, it'll be just like Basin Road and Island Basin Road that we just did the causeway there.
Great Island,
Great Island. So this is essentially the same thing. We're just reinforcing the roadway with a rock seawall.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Start with
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 21 is a motion from the town manager, a motion to adopt a resolution establishing an administrative compensation schedule for fiscal year 2021-2022 as the existing administrative compensation schedule, which has remained the same.
Oh, sorry.
For 2 fiscal years and is due to expire on June 30th, 2021.
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. I'm assuming everyone had a chance to take a look at the chart and the resolution. Does anyone have any questions for Jim?
So Jim, I totally support this, and actually asked a while back about this, but what do you do for the senior management if they, surpass, like they all are getting a 2% increase, right? But suppose somebody is outstanding, is there an incentive? There was a time where there was incentives if you did a special project or you were more performance-based. And I was just wondering if that's been any part of the discussion in looking at the salaries and the increases. Is that anything that you have thought about down the road?
There have been municipal comparables to similar size communities with the workload, and some salaries have been adjusted during that period. This is the across the board straight raise. They've done without, the SMT's done without an across the board raise for the last year. Did nothing during COVID. This is just that standard one, but yes, there have been some adjustments made for comparables and efforts to retain people.
Okay.
That's correct.
No, well deserved and well needed. I support it. I was just curious about that.
Understood.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 22 is a motion to approve the proposal to grant 2% increase to the salaries of the non-union senior management team.
I'll
Is there a
move the motion.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Eva. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick.
Murray, aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And then number 23 is a motion to approve the proposal to award an annual wellness benefit stipend for members of the senior management team. Do you have a
I'll
motion?
move the motion.
I'll second.
Seconded by Eva. All right, any comments from the council? All right, so Jim, for this one, this would be awarded if the employees hit certain requirements like check-in, doctor check-ups, stuff like that, right?
Yes, Council 94, 1033, and it's a similar type stipend for a certain group of fire. And they have to first annually sign up, and then they must complete qualifying events, preventative screening, annual physical. There's multiple events that we have that are covered by it. They complete 3 of those. They receive a $500 stipend that can go into their deferred comp or go right into their paycheck annually. It's not a pension, it's a stipend. It doesn't affect the pension or anything like that.
All right, thank you.
I just
all
thought
right,
it
any
was,
other questions? Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just thought, I think it's a fair representation. It's a little motivation for guys. Me, it gets people, reminds people, go get a physical, go do this, go do that. And the other unions have it and the non-union people didn't. So I thought that would be a good little incentive for all of our health. And also, during COVID, they did without a lot.
And I could see the fire chief was smiling, so he's gung ho about it.
Yeah, I used to have that benefit through my wife's insurance a couple years ago, and I love that. That was like my best doctor visit 2 years. I don't think I've probably gone back since, but since I lost that benefit. But hey, all right. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye, and Jesse, you should go annually. It's free. Just do it.
I know. You could text Vicky later and let
I
her
will.
know that one. Patrick,
Aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 24 from the town clerk is a motion to approve a holiday license for Stacy Hall doing business as Pink Pineapple Shop at 1161 Succotash Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, 02882, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Janet on this application? Okay. All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick,
Patrick Murray, aye. Good luck.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 25 is a motion to approve 2 holiday licenses for PSP Stores LLC doing business as Pet Supplies Plus, 4159 at 91 Point Judith Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island, for the years 2021, 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022, subject to state and local regulations. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Is there a second? All right. So I believe that this is actually catching up on a license that should have been renewed last year. Janet, could you just give us a little bit more info?
Sure. The Pet Supplies Plus had a third-party vendor doing their licensing. And during COVID, the third-party licensing agent didn't do anything, and they just kind of left it, and Pet Supplies didn't know until we sent them a letter stating that they hadn't complied with the 2021, the 2020 to 2021 license, and they needed to do that to renew for the new license. So they contacted us and they wanted to make everything right, and thanked us for bringing it to their attention, because there were other licenses that were also affected by this.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Any questions for Janet? Pretty clear. All right. All in favor? We'll begin with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse
Good
Duhai,
luck.
motion approved 5-0. Number 26 is a motion to appoint 5 individuals and select 1 town council representative to serve on the newly established Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Awareness Committee. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So this comes from the town clerk, but I'm going to have Susan speak first, as she was the sponsor that to establish the committee. So Susan, do you want to go ahead?
So
or make
there's quite a few applicants. No, I'm pleased to see that there are so many people interested in this committee. And I'd like to nominate Alicia Bignali Henry, who really has been inspirational in helping form this committee. She ran for school committee, and one of her passions was to serve the community, to bring a sense of inclusive practices across the town. She comes with passion and excitement, and she's a resident of the town. She's a mother. She has 2 children in the school, and I think she would be, an asset to the committee. So I'd like to nominate her.
Okay. Would this be for the member 1 seat?
Yes.
With
Yep.
the 3-year term, right? Okay.
Yep.
Also, I'm just going to mention this. It's not related to Alicia, but Cynthia withdrew her nomination as the chair of the Coastal Access Committee. There was a conflict there with being on the second board. So just to make everyone aware of that. But we have the nomination for Alicia. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any comments from the council before we vote?
Yes.
For Alicia, this is specifically for this nomination.
Correct. Susan, didn't she write the agenda, page 2 of the agenda, ideas and action paper for you?
No, we worked on it together, her, myself, and Alex Mendes. It was a collaborative effort.
Okay, good.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I have concerns with this meeting, this committee, okay? I think this is, more of a political committee than an ideas committee. I got some real concerns here. All right. In one line, you say, research recommend draft policy for education. Training on bias, social justice, cultural literacy for town employees.
We're doing nominations for this. We've already done the committee, Patrick. This is
I know,
about
but
the
school
nomination.
curriculum. My question is, do you want the same issues that South Kingston is having now? Look what happened over there. We got a chair that stepped down. You have a superintendent mailing out, union flyers to children. That's not
Why,
diversity.
why would that happen here?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is the encroachment.
All right, I'm gonna reel it in, guys. So this is a nomination. We've already discussed the existence of the
Okay,
committee.
all right, let me finish up. Let me wrap it up. Okay, I'm against this committee. I think where it's going
clear.
to provide inclusion, it's going to provide exclusion. Right? Your diversity is going to be division. Equity is very dangerous. And Susan did, never mind. No. So awareness, everybody's already aware of issues. We've learned nothing from the URI student issue. You can't control human behavior. This is the thought police. I'm a little old fashioned. I think we live in the greatest town, in the greatest country on this planet. I don't believe there's systemic racism in our town and in this country. Right? I'll go on the record. And, the events over in South Kingston, who are probably the most diverse town in Washington County. It hasn't been going too well over there. I think you're searching for a problem that doesn't exist and it's just going to create more problems. So I'm not voting or supporting any candidate. And it's not because of it's a personal issue with each candidate. It's just that I don't support this committee under any capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
All right, so any other comments before we vote for the nomination? Okay, so nomination of Alicia Vignali Henry. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
No.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 4-1. Okay. Does anyone have any other nominations?
Well, we only have, we have,
There are five.
yeah, we have five candidates for 5 positions. So
Yeah.
Right, but we don't have to appoint you don't have to appoint every seat. We appoint qualified individuals. So
They're all pretty, they're all pretty good though.
qualified. Yeah.
well, what I'm saying is we have to go through the process and nominate people. So
Right.
I'll go
Okay.
ahead and make a nomination.
Okay.
So I'm going to nominate Danielle Whitaker. I took a look at her resume. Her application. So as a young person of color in Narragansett, I think she'll be a valuable part of this committee. Someone who has the firsthand experience of growing up in this town, in her situation. And let's remember, it's not all about race. It's general diversity. So economic diversity, age. I think a young person on the committee in Narragansett is something we should be happy about as well. So I'm going to go ahead and nominate Danielle.
And I'm gonna second your nomination. I know her personally. She went to school in Narragansett, Asian American, phenomenal girl, phenomenal attitude. And I think you're right. She's young and she'll be a great asset to this committee. So I support her and thrilled that she put in an application.
Okay, great. So this is for the member 2 seat, which is also a 3-year term.
Okay.
All right. Any comments from the council? Any additional comments from the council?
Yes. Again, I'm voting no. I'm not voting against the person. I'm voting against the idea of this committee. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no.
Joseph Pugh, aye. Motion approved 4-1. All right. So the next appointment would be for member 3, which is a 2-year term. Do we have any nominations?
I have another one. Deb, do you have one?
No, you can go ahead.
So I'd like to nominate Mikey Monroe. He is a lifetime member of Narragansett. He actually graduated a year ahead of me. He is just a wonderful guy that wants to serve his community. He's a Native American. He's got his job is he's an outside service manager for golf management. He actually reached out, had a big interest, has a love for diversity, and would like to be a part of this committee. So I would like to nominate Mike Monroe.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments? Okay.
Again.
I got you. We have yours.
Well,
We have
Mike's a good friend of mine. I've known him since 7th grade. So again, voting no, not against the person, but against this committee. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor starting, actually, we have a hand up. Dan, can you move Catherine over?
Catherine Ciliberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Ciliberto, 48 Earls Court. I would just like you to remind Mr. Murray that you're voting to nominate a person to a position, not the idea of the committee. That is not before the town council right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right. Okay, all in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
And Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no. Go get him, Mike.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 4-1. So that's 3 nominations.
And there
Go
are
ahead.
2 more. Deb, does anybody else want to nominate? Because I have the 2 more applications, but feel free to go ahead.
Well, Adrian Hazard, I don't know Adrian, but I thought that, she has a wonderful background. And she too has an extraordinary relationship with Narragansett. And I think she doesn't fully live in town right this minute, but she's moving here. She has family here, and she's working to get back here. And I think that is that she would be a great asset to the group.
And I'll second that nomination.
All right. Any comments?
Ditto.
All right. So you second as well?
No, I have, my standard comment is that I am not voting against the person. I'm sure she's a lovely lady, and we welcome her with open arms in Narragansett. But I think this committee is dangerous, and I will not supporting this committee. Thank you.
All right. All in favor for the appointment for the member 4 seat?
Yeah.
Adrian Hazard. It's a 2-year term.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0 or 4-1. Sorry.
And there's one more applicant, Melissa Jenkins. Melissa has committed her life, I think, to equality and equity. She lives in Narragansett. She's a resident. She has been involved in she's been involved in different things throughout the town. She's involved in Bonnet. She's interested. She brings a whole set of skills that I think with social justice and being an activist, I think she'd add her ideas. And so I support her. I'd like to nominate her.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any comments from the council?
Yeah, there's this candidate, I looked through her application. Susan, you nominated her. Is there any kind of conflict there?
I don't see I don't know of a conflict.
Well, didn't she recently apply for a position and she didn't get it, and there was a complaint? Mark, can you?
Is Mark,
pipe
yeah,
in?
see if Mark's on here, if there's any kind of conflict. I don't see one, but I'm not an attorney.
Well, I don't know if there's a conflict. You'll have to make that decision. But Melissa did, as everyone knows, applied for the manager's position and subsequently filed a a complaint with the commission on with the commission, and you know where we stand on that. So to my knowledge, that hasn't reached a conclusion. I think it was up to Melissa on how it was going to proceed. So as far as I'm concerned, that matter is still open.
All right, that is that issue. And then some of the, I don't know, Mark, can I speak on this at all?
What do you want to speak to? I mean, you can speak in general terms. You can't speak, the legal matter itself has really been already publicly disclosed about the offer and the rejection of the offer. That's been disclosed and discussed. So
Okay, so I can discuss that.
you can, I mean, with regard to her nomination, Patrick, you can speak to why you support her or why you don't support her, right?
Well, her response to the complaint was basically the page number 2 of Susan's Agenda 18 back in March 15th. Training for employees, training for town councilmen. You know, I mean, this is soft indoctrination. This is, you know, we have programs in place. There are laws out there. There's ordinance, state, federal. There's already diversity training in the schools. There's already training for employees. And it's going to get worse. Next year, that's going to be mandated from the feds. And it's going to be money tied to it.
The nomination of Melissa.
Anyway, all right.
Let's go to we have a comment. We have a hand up. So why don't we go there? We'll come back to the council. Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't object to this nomination. I don't know Melissa at all, but she does have an active lawsuit against the town, and I objected to Mr. Lembo being appointed to any committee because the Lembo Family Trust had an active lawsuit against the town. I just don't know that this is a good idea. I'm not sure if it's allowed. I don't know the legal part of that whole thing. I just don't think it's a good idea to have somebody who's suing the town on any committee. Thank you.
So to Catherine's point, I think, Mark, could you be a little clearer on if he thinks it's a conflict, if we shouldn't appoint her, should we hold off and wait? I'm willing to do that if I'm hearing that it's a conflict, but I thought we would move through that particular complaint. Mark?
I'm not aware of any prohibition in doing it. Whether you think it's a good idea or not, I will leave to you, but legally, there's no prohibition to doing it. And to my knowledge, there's not an active lawsuit. There was a complaint filed. The settlement wasn't reached, and I think it's up to Melissa as to whether she's going to pursue it or not. So I want to be clear. I'm not aware of an ongoing lawsuit. There's a complaint filed. To my knowledge, a legal complaint has not been filed. But so the status of this matter does not preclude her. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying it's up to you, but legally I don't think she's barred from serving on a committee.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. Looks like we have another hand up. Dan, who do we have up?
We do. It's Judy Marusa.
All right. Judy, please state your full name and address.
Judy Marusa, 45 Davisville Lane. I'd like to know why this committee does not have any senior citizen representation.
I don't know if we know the actual ages of everybody. I don't know how old.
Yeah, I don't think it was excluding senior citizens. I think it was just a cross section of people, but it was not to eliminate any people of age.
Well, senior citizens are a demographic in our town, a large demographic, and I'm wondering why I didn't hear anybody who I sounded like they would represent seniors.
Actually, I think the person who pulled her application was definitely a senior. And, you know, it depends on who applies for the positions.
Okay. I'm just stating my opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so, we have another hand up. Dan, who do we have?
We have Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Hi, Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. You know, if somebody has a complaint or is trying to reach a settlement with the town, like Mr. Limbo was, you know, sometimes things don't have to be legal to be not a good idea to do. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like a good idea for somebody that's at odds with the town to serve on a committee, even if it's not precluded in the charter. So, you know, sometimes you do things that aren't, yeah, it's not a question of what's legal, but what's prudent. And if this person, it does in fact have this action running against the town, it does not seem prudent to appoint them to the to a committee of any type.
All right, thank you, Paul.
Jesse,
Yep.
can I pipe in? The
Okay.
limbo situation with the trust on a general lawsuit, this is more a personal item for a personal issue. So I think there's a distinction between a difference, you know, between the two.
I do have a thought on this. I guess I didn't really think through this aspect of it till now. So I guess it's public. So the complaint was specific to basically the topics that this committee will be discussing, which are fair hiring practices, diversity, that sort of thing. If this complaint is still open, meaning there's no official word that it's settled or that it's dropped, I do wonder if it is appropriate to have her on the committee with the open complaint, which is on the same topic. So I'm wondering if there's any support to hold off on this, not to appoint someone else to the seat, but to get clarity on if, from the applicant, if this complaint is dropped or if it's moving forward. And then once we know that, we could go ahead and put it back up. And we should know by the next meeting.
I think that's a reasonable request. I could support that. I mean, I absolutely think if you want, we can look into it a little bit more and see where the applicant's coming from. That would be fine.
If there's also an opportunity to wait and see if there's a senior representative for this committee, because there is concern that it's not diverse in the sense that there's senior representation.
I think to Deb's point though, see who applies too. So hopefully there'll be a senior
Yeah.
that might apply.
Right. So
Okay.
So I can take the nomination and put it on hold if that's the pleasure of the council.
Second,
Okay, so it would just be a withdrawal of the nomination, right? For now.
Yeah, and then I don't know if this would be the time, Jesse, but I would love to be the town council rep if Patrick doesn't mind.
You're not a senior yet, but
Well,
we don't have any seniors.
almost.
Oh, we do have one senior on this council.
Yeah. Yeah, if
I would-
Patrick's
I'm
coming
not-
up behind me, but
So is anyone else interested in the council rep seat?
the what?
Is anyone, I mean,
the
it's
town
just-
council representative, Patrick.
Oh, I think I should be. I think if this is truly a diverse committee, I think I should be the council liaison to this committee. Because who's more diverse than me? Right? I'm on the opposite side of this issue. That is diversity. That's real diversity.
But you didn't want to vote for anybody, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean,
for himself.
So change my mind.
But
Deb,
did we finish the last part of this? We're
We have
gonna,
to nominate.
we're
the council
we're
rep.
gonna hold off on Melissa.
okay. Well, I'd like to nominate Susan as the town council representative.
I will second that nomination.
Thank you.
to nominate Patrick.
Second, can you second yourself?
All right, so we have 2 nominations. Is that serious? You want to
Yeah,
do that?
yeah,
All right.
sure.
All right, so 2 nominations. I'll just say I will be voting for Susan. So if you want to get a consensus now.
Gee, wait. Surprise, surprise. All right, very, very good. But in conclusion, what scares me, what really scares me, the last town council was a narcissistic party. This council's the woke party. is the 2022, 2024. Are they going to be the narcissistic woke party? Good God. I'm glad I'm not going to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Is there two nominations? I want to be clear, or is it just one? Because you,
Well, I think we don't need to vote on both if we have a consensus.
yeah, I
So
didn't
Deb-
know if did ever put up
Second.
Patrick's name though? Yeah,
Yes.
She did.
I was just clarifying.
But do you
Yeah.
think there's an opportunity going forward to expand like the number? I mean, if we're really talking about diversity, more council members and more members in general.
We
Right
don't
now,
even have a committee. We're already expanding
Yeah, I mean,
government.
we're working on a nomination tonight, right?
No,
I agree with Patrick on that one.
Patrick, I think that it's intriguing to have someone like you. The only thing is you just wouldn't even vote on other members.
Yeah,
So that's a little bit of
that
a-
doesn't make sense to
Well,
me.
then I'm the perfect guy to put on the committee.
You don't even believe in the
By
committee.
your diverse,
He doesn't believe in the committee. He won't
by your
appoint
diverse,
anybody, but
so
he
make
wants to
me
lead
a
it.
true believer.
I can
Okay.
do that. I can do that for you, Patrick.
Can
Let's
you
have
call
some
a
private
vote?
lessons. We
All
can
right,
do that.
so
Make me a true
Yeah.
believer.
a nomination for Susan, we'll take that vote first, and if she gets 3 votes, then that will be what we need to pass. We have a couple of hands up for this nomination. Dan, who's up first?
First, we have Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I think my hand never went down.
Okay.
But I do support Patrick for the position because, all kidding aside, I mean, he is somebody who has a different view. So I would support him for the committee, but my contribution is because my hand was still up. So.
All right, thank you, Paul. Who do we have next, Dan?
We have Judy Marusa next.
Judy, I'm not sure if your hand was still up from before or not.
No, my hand was up for this.
Okay, go ahead.
Patrick Murray and I are not best friends. We will never be best friends. And I firmly support him as being on that committee. We
All right.
disagree on many issues, but on this, I would agree that Patrick would make a good choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Who do we have up next?
Next is Catherine Celeberto.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. I've never heard such convoluted logic in my life. Susan is obviously the choice for the chair. You don't need somebody for chair of a committee when he's just totally against everything that they believe in. He'll do nothing but obfuscate and stand in their way. They'll never even get through a meeting. This is totally unacceptable. Oh, and by the way, I think Melissa Jenkins filed a complaint with the Human Rights Commission.
Yep.
The next step is a right to sue letter, and then she'd go to court. But anyway, I mean, come on, let's get real here. Obviously, Susan is the person for the town council liaison. Thank you.
Catherine. Dan, who's up next?
Next is Lynn Petrillo.
Lynn, please state your full name and address.
Lynn Matrullo, 15 Sweet Fern Trail, Narragansett. I would vote for Patrick too. I think that there needs to be that type of diversity on that group. Basically, of what's going on in South Kingstown. I just think that these groups that get embedded into the towns, it's happening in Barrington and it's happening in South Kingstown. So I would vote for Patrick.
All right.
Thank you.
Dan, who's up last?
Next is Dr. Alba.
Al, please state your full name and address.
Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett. First of all, I like Susan, I like Patrick. I know sometimes they don't always agree. I respect their differences. And I do feel that Patrick would be good on this committee. And I respect everyone. I believe we do not judge anyone based on their lifestyles. We all have unique lifestyles. but I do think Patrick would be a benefit. I don't think he will obfuscate. I don't think I think Patrick would be able to be a team player. So that's just my input. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Al. All right, looks like that's it. I do want to say, sorry, I'm like a little bit shocked. I think that an endorsement for Patrick over Susan for this seat is a little bit of an insult to the work that she's put in to establish this committee. That's not anything against Patrick at all. Patrick knows I have full respect for him. But this is a committee with a mission that he doesn't believe in and that he thinks shouldn't exist. So just like any other committee we do, we're not going to appoint people that are in complete on the opposite side of the mission of the committee. Again, no disrespect to Patrick. This is a committee, a specific committee with a specific mission that Susan literally wrote the mission statement for with 2 other members. So if Patrick took a different stance originally, and he brought his diversity of ideas to this, I think there's a lot of potential there. However, that's not what happened in this case. So I'm supporting Susan.
Thank you, Jesse.
Well, I'm gonna make a final statement.
Go ahead.
I think I am the perfect candidate. I believe a lot of these diversity committees are springing up all over the country, and they're conflicting with town charters, state laws, and the Constitution. First Amendment is encroaching, continue to encroach on people's lives. I mean, right now we want to expand the membership of the committee, and we don't even have a committee. We want to get some elderly in there and get diverse. I mean, this is a vehicle that has a potential to expand and infiltrate its tentacles, and it's right in Susan's agenda, Agenda 18 from March 15th, earlier this year. And they want, we see what's going on in SK. I think I could be a good gatekeeper to decide, hey, we can't do this because of this. Because the ramifications of this committee is going to get us in trouble. That's what I believe. That's why I'm against it. But that also makes me the perfect candidate in a diverse committee. So that's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and take the vote. So this is a nomination for Susan. We'll start with, if it fails, then we'll vote on Patrick for the council representative seat. All in favor, starting with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Banano, aye.
Eva?
So I nominated Patrick, so I'm going to have to say no.
Okay. Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye. Thank you for putting this together, Susan.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, no.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Nomination approved for Susan, 3-2.
Right, great.
Good discussion. Next, we have, sorry, let me get back here. Town council portion, we have number 27 as a motion to amend the parking ordinance from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. for the official time to park on Louise, Connet, and Pilgrim Ave. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, this comes from Councilor Cicilline Banano.
So when we passed the parking ordinance down on Louise, Connet, and Pilgrim, in that meeting, I had gone back and forth about the time from 5 to 7, but it was kind of too late. So it was something that I had to think about and revisit. It was an opportunity to recognize the importance of the neighborhood, to be thoughtful about the travel in and out of there at early hours. And truthfully, I got some correspondence today that people thought it wouldn't be helpful at all. So I put it on to demonstrate my commitment to that neighborhood. And, you know, I don't know if the council or the public is interested in it. It's a small amendment. It was, they couldn't, they could park there at 5 a.m. I'm asking to move it to 7, but I'm interested to hear what my colleagues would think and the public, because it has to do, if it does pass, it has 2 readings. And maybe it's not worth it. From some of the communications, it might be more of a problem than it's worth. So I don't know. I did want to respect those neighbors and did think it would help a little bit with those early morning cars. But I'm kind of middle of the road and would love to hear what you have to say about it on the council. And I'd love to hear from the public.
Thank you, Susan. All right, so why don't we go ahead and go around the council, see if there's any comments, and we'll go to the public and back to us. Eva, do you have any thoughts or comments?
Yeah, so I'm not going to vote for this. I mean, I think it's fine the way it is. We compromised by actually putting times in there the last time, and this was a long process. And I support what we put through. It was a lot of work to get it to where it was.
All right, thank you, Eva. Deb?
Yeah, I'm a little ambivalent at this point too. Originally, I thought 5 was early, but that's because 5's early for me. So maybe that's the wrong way to approach something. So like I said, I'm kind of ambivalent about it at this point.
Okay, Patrick?
Well, people like fishing and surfing before they go to work. Sunrise today is 8:22. I'm okay with 9 o'clock. I mean, you want to go out fishing, you want to catch that sundown rally, you know, I mean, that's what it's all about. So and then the whole process starts over again. Good God. I don't think I can go through that again. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, you know, I definitely appreciate Susan's kind of constant ability or effort to come up with a compromise to, you know, please as many people as possible. I know that that's something that I kind of look to you for. You've done that for a long time. I think you always have the right idea in mind there. For this one, you know, I would second what Eva said. If you look back when we went through this process, I know you had some, Susan, I know you wanted to make that change during that last reading. However, we actually delayed this implementation earlier in the process because we had to redo the ordinance to add the times in. Because originally we were going to do 24-hour free parking, you know, overnight parking. And we had that ordinance written up, and it actually pushed us to additional meetings because we had to have it rewritten to add the time in. So that was the time, I think, to set the hours. And that's where we settled on the 5. And if you remember the conversation, it was specifically around that before work surfers and fishermen and women who wanted to get there at 5 or 6 o'clock so they could get to work at 8 or 9. So it's not like a kind of a random time. There is some thought behind why we set it there. The signs have been printed, made, posted. I know they could be redone, but you know, they're official. They have the times on there. That work has been done. And then, like you said, we have to go through the readings again, but not just the readings. We'd actually be open to a required public hearing again as well if a petition was put in for that, which is a possibility, I think, of that happening. So I would be in support of keeping what we have and not moving forward. But why don't we go ahead and see if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak on this? And then we can go ahead and take the vote. So I don't see any hands up. I'm going to double check with Dan on that. Dan, anyone with their hands up to speak?
Currently, no.
Okay. All right, Susan, or anyone else on the council, any last thoughts before we vote? Okay. All right. So for this, all in favor of an amendment, starting with Susan?
I almost feel like I'm going to vote against my amendment. I mean, truthfully, that is the weirdest thing ever because I thought I was demonstrating a change that would be supportive. But as I talked to some of the residents, it seemed like, and it seems like you guys too. So, I mean, it would be weird to, I mean, I would almost just say pull it, then vote against it. Like, I mean, like I said, I put it out there because I thought it'd be interested to see what you guys think of the neighbors, but if there's nobody on and they don't think it's an idea, why don't we just not even do it? Just pull it.
Finally, we agree on something.
All right, do you
Patrick,
want to?
I've worked with you a long
withdraw?
time. We never agree on mostly everything we disagree on, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't mind pulling it.
Okay, I'm not sure, only because we've gone into discussion, but I'm wondering if we need to make a motion to withdraw at this point.
I can make an amendment and motion to withdraw the motion.
Okay,
Second,
all right, all in favor, starting with Susan to withdraw.
Susan Cicilline, Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Ledgerzinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye. 2 R's.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion to withdraw approved 5-0. We have number 28 is a motion to adopt.
Betsy,
Yep.
do you have to go back to the original motion and fail it? Or because you withdraw it, you don't have to?
Yeah, we just withdrew it.
Okay,
We're not
Yeah,
gonna
'cause I
vote
think
on
if we amended it to do something different,
okay,
then we would fail the original. But
all right, I missed the word amend, sorry.
no, that's fine. Thank you for checking. All right, 28 is a motion to adopt the job description of the Narragansett Municipal Court Judge. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Susan, seconded by Deb, and this comes from Susan.
Yeah, so over the last 5-6 years, we've had, different clerks, Ann Irons, we had Terry Donovan, Janet. There's been a lot of change in the clerk's office, and this job description is reflective of, there is no job description for the judge presently, but this job description is what the judge presently has done over the last 28 years. It's just finally written down. So I'd like for people to discuss the job description and see if it reflects the appointed position of the municipal court judge. And if it does, and if there's a desire, then we would adopt it. But it's really been the practice and as long as I can remember.
Okay. All right, any comments from the council? I'll go around starting with Eva.
Yeah, so I did review it. And so this is an appointed position, and it's only a couple hours a week. So I had concerns with the manages part. So then that last line, the judge also oversees and I would say directs the operation administration. I would take out in consultation with town clerk, presides over and supervises the municipal court staff. Also, because it is an appointed position, I would take out 9, 10, and 11 of that essential functions part because I don't think that that should be in there.
9, 10, and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we'll look over those as we discuss. Deb, if you can hold off on commenting now too, if you need to.
Just Eva, the first item that you mentioned, which was that?
The first one, I mean, like they wouldn't manage. They wouldn't manage if they're there for 2 hours a day. That this is like managing staff. They're just there for a couple hours a week. So I was saying that maybe change the word from manages to directs the operation and administration of the municipal court, period.
Okay. So if we want to make changes, we can't really do it on the fly right now, right? We'd have to.
Well, we could do amendments, but it's probably cleaner to, if we're going to make significant amendments, to just have it rewritten and do it in the next meeting.
And then and then actually, do we even need a judge? So I thought because we're municipality, so we have Article 2, and it talks about municipal court. So that's in our code of ordinances. So it's not, this isn't like we're the public sector. It's, I think this encompasses what's needed.
You're talking about the code of ordinances?
Island Code of Ordinances, Article 2, municipal court, titled municipal court.
Okay.
So could we, I never remember what the right words are. could we,
Equity.
it's not the word. Hold, set this aside and do some work on it first?
We can
and bring
continue
back
it if
in?
it's for
Yeah,
next
thank you,
meeting
continue,
or,
that's the word.
yeah.
I
Now-
really am a senior.
So, what changes did you want to make on it? You wanted changes on 9, 10, and 11 specifically?
Take them out. If
So-
we even need this, I really don't think we need a job description. I think it's covered in the Rhode Island, Narragansett, Rhode Island Court of Ordinances. This isn't like the private sector where you need job descriptions for everything. It's kind of speaks to what.
Well, I think in this particular situation, there's a job description because I think it's been a little unclear on who's in charge of the operations. I mean, you all remember Judge Jakubilis was on the last time, and we were trying to clarify what that position really was and who's kind of, is he on?
Yeah.
His hand is up, yeah.
So, yeah, so I mean, we can look at this and make changes. I think it stands as it is. I like it, but you
Make a
can
motion
certainly
to-
make references to what you want changed, but I'd like to hear from John too.
Yeah, we'll
Since we
definitely go.
appoint him, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go to him as well. I'm just gonna go around the council then to him. Deb, do you have anything else before I go to Patrick?
No.
This is a management issue, right? Correct?
Yep.
Shouldn't we talk to?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right? Shouldn't we be asking the opinion of the town manager?
Yep.
But this job description belongs to somebody that we appoint.
Right, but
So that's a little, it's a different.
well, I think the town manager has every right to pipe in, on this issue. Or maybe he
That's
doesn't
fine.
want to pipe in.
You can, if you want to have Jim speak on it, that's fine.
Sure. Yeah. Jim, you want to say anything or?
I respectfully request, I'll speak after I hear the judge's concerns and the description of the job description. I'd like to speak after that, yes. I've made the council aware of my concerns. Thank you.
All right. I'll make some comments after as well. Let's go ahead to the judge. I just want to remind, I guess him, as we take comment here, is that, of course, we can't speak about any personnel issues or anything like that publicly in our meeting. So just would be totally, as careful as possible during this discussion. So, but Judge Jakubilis, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity and for your consideration here. As Susan mentioned, I mean, the municipal court was established more than 30 years ago. And for all but 2 of those, I've had the privilege and honor to serve as the municipal court judge. And as you all know, the municipal court itself and my position is different than any other department or division or position within the entire town, because I am appointed by the council. I serve at the council's pleasure, and I report directly to the council. And unlike any other position, every case, every matter I handle is a dispute with the town and somebody else. And I have to be independent and maintain that objectivity and the independent judgment. And also, I'm governed by the judicial canons of ethics, and I have to make sure that not only do we comply with the law, but the entire operation of the court is consistent with those canons. Now, I'm speaking to you, of course, in support of the motion to adopt the job description. And we had been fortunate enough for 30 plus years to be able to operate without a job description. But as Susan mentioned, recently, last several years, we've had a turnover of the personnel in the town clerk's office with the new town clerks. And more recently, there had been issues and concerns that had arisen that put some questions as to the operation of the court and who ultimately is responsible and how it should be administered and how it should be operated. And that's why at this point in time, I was seeking guidance and clarity and clarification from the council. Of course, whatever you guys decide, whether you adopt the job description or a different version of the job description, I certainly will support whatever your decision is, because I serve at your pleasure and that's what I'm here to do. But the concern is, without some direction and guidance as to the operation, the overall administration and operation of the court, it caused some issues, it caused some confusion, and I'm trying and hopeful to avoid those coming up in the future, whether I'm the judge or my successor or a different town clerk or his or her successor. And so basically what I did in anticipation is I contacted many of the other municipal courts around the state. I researched job descriptions for municipal court judges throughout the country, and this is what I came up with. Every judge that I spoke to, without exception, has the ultimate say and control over the operation and administration of the court. We are appointed, we're not full-time, we are not there every day, and therefore, in collaboration in the past with the town clerk, we've been able to resolve and work through all the issues. But at the end of the day, somebody has to have the direction from the council as to if decisions have to be made with respect to personnel or just the general operation, who ultimately has that obligation and that role. And so that's why I'm here before you. We need that guidance. Unfortunately, in most instances, the town clerk, who is responsible for generally overseeing the other two full-time positions within the municipal court, doesn't necessarily come to that position with experience in the municipal court or with knowledge and understanding of the municipal court. I mean, not everybody is in that position, but throughout the years, most did not have any firsthand knowledge or experience. And what happens is, if we leave it up to somebody potentially to make decisions within the court who has no working knowledge of the day-to-day operations, is not involved in the day-to-day operations, it makes it very, very difficult to run the court smoothly, efficiently, and professionally, and to make it as highly functioning as possible. So basically, I'm asking you to consider a job description that gives me the same authority I've had for all my tenure here, for the most part, until recently. In the past, whenever an issue had arisen, I would reach out to the clerk, or the town clerk would reach out to me, and we would collaboratively be able to resolve those issues. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, in the more recent past, with respect to, some of the issues and concerns that we have had. And of course, this all predated Janet, so has no reflection upon her or anybody else, and really has no reflection on any individual anyway. It's basically which position, which title, which persons are responsible for the overall decision-making within the municipal court. So at this point in time, once again, I ask for your guidance. I'd ask for your consideration, and I'm prepared to do my job as best I can to make the court as effective and efficient as I can, regardless of what your decision is. I support that fully. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. So why don't we get back to council discussion? Patrick, did you want, or Jim, did you want to speak on this? You said you wanted to wait till after the judge spoke.
I can go when you folks are done discussing if you'd like. Or I can
It's up
go
to
now.
you. I mean, it's totally up to you if you have anything to say on it or not.
No, I'll go now. Thank you. My questions isn't about the agenda item itself. It's just some concerns that I attempted to bring to the council's attention, because to me, it brings some ambiguity when it talks about management and administration and uses soft words like consultation with, resides over. who's the boss is the question I ask. And we do have my concern was that we do have a town council adopted job description for one of the positions in that office. And I'd hate to see any confusion about that because the job description for the municipal court clerk is clear that the clerk of the court is in charge of that person. In the case of the municipal court administrator, also a town council adopted job description, it's the clerk and the municipal court judge. Because the reasoning with the town clerk, I assume, is that the town clerk is there Monday through Friday, every day, every week, 52 weeks a year. And they're the person that's there all the time that handles the budget, approving time off, approving payroll, overtime, training, discipline, union grievances, software upgrades, ordering supplies, purchase orders. I mean, is that being moved over? I mean, it's unclear. And if it's not very clear, is it a request that the municipal court judge they're the direct report to the municipal court judge? It's confusing to me. And when I see words in consultation, but it doesn't say directly, there's no chain of command, so to say. That was my concern with it. And it still is. I would appreciate if there'd be some clarity, because it makes it confusing for a staff person who feels like they're not sure who they report to. And I think that's very helpful to do that. I think the clerks have done a great job. Current clerk has court experience in another state. And the clerks are there all the time. And to supervise someone on a full-time basis, I think that's important. And that's where the confusion comes for me on this. There's some ambiguity there regarding who's managing and supervising with those words. And does management mean all the duties that the clerk currently does for the court? Those are the questions I think that would be very helpful for me and our staff, the clerk's office, and the two union employees who are in there. In some cases, they're not union employees in courts, but in this case, they are union employees with council-approved job descriptions that are pretty clear. So
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is it possible, you as the town manager and the leader, that you could sit with the judge and sit with the clerk and look at those job descriptions collectively and come up with something that would give the judge the administrative authority on his side, and you with the clerks on your side, but that he is appointed and he has his ability to run his court with his clerks, and still you can manage and figure out an area where you could agree and compromise on making it clear for him as the municipal judge, and you as the town manager? Is that a task you could do?
Absolutely. I actually reached out in an email that I forwarded to the council the other day that I was attempting to do that.
Because that would be really great. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, that was what I was going to suggest too. I think, shouldn't be a too difficult thing for the two of you to sit down and determine what needs to happen, and then put the language in that makes it, clear. I think you could come up with the clarity that you need between the two of you.
Yeah, and I do think that the judge does need a job description. I think that's sort of how we can resolve this. So if you can take his work with those job duties, him and the clerks can work out something and bring it back in a draft that you can all agree, then, it would be a lot easier for us, I think, at this point.
I agree.
I'd be willing to do that if I had that commitment that you guys could do that.
Well, I will certainly ask the judge again if he would like to meet with me and Janet, and see if he would like to do that.
And then you could use that as a draft and then come back to us. I think that would be great. Is the judge on still, Jesse?
He's still here. We can bring him over.
Yeah, I mean, instead of voting, we have to revise this, if the council is amenable to that, and the town manager would like to work with the judge to go through it and the clerk to see if they could come up with something that would work, I think that we'd be ahead of it all.
Yep.
If I could just comment on something, and that is, I think that's a great idea, and I had reached out and tried to do this before as well. But I think, and I don't know if we can discuss this now, you can tell me, but the problem we have is that all of the current job descriptions for both the 2 full-time staff in the municipal court and even the town clerk's job description are all inconsistent with respect to each of their role within the municipal court. One has the town clerk and the judge supervising one of the employees. The other one has just the town clerk. They've taken when you guys changed the language and took the magistrate out, one of the ordinances says that the town clerk shall do, that the municipal court clerk shall do all these duties, but it's really not the municipal court clerk doing those duties. It's the court administrator. And that's part of the problem, is just it does not define the role of the town clerk. And the town clerk, up until now, quite honestly, throughout all of my tenure there, has not really had a function on a day-to-day basis in the municipal court. There's been some in the last year or so, there's been a little change in that, but for the most part, the town clerk does not have a regular day-to-day function in the municipal court. It's mainly called upon the court administrator, and then also the the municipal court clerk, under the direction and supervision of the town administrator, that performs pretty much all the essential functions. So if we could get together, we might want to revisit all of these to make them consistent and concise.
If I may chime in, the town clerk's office has been involved since I've been here. It was brought to my attention at the beginning, but I can't get into personnel discussions at this juncture. We also have to take into consideration that both of those jobs are union positions, and the changing of the job descriptions would have to do the way they're currently written would have to be in a meeting with the union as well to go through those. Number one. Number two, there are many people affected by those 2 union employees: the judge, the clerk, and myself.
Guys, let's just remember that. All right, let's pull it back a little bit and remember that this item is specific to this job description. So we need to make sure to stay on topic there. We can't veer too far off of that based on the agenda. If you two if you're open to meeting to discuss the job description, and you are able to come to an agreement and a draft, then we can have that on the agenda. And it sounds like we can't get too comprehensive with the other job descriptions, but we need some direction, really.
Right.
I'll make a motion to continue the job descriptions to the next meeting.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Murray, aye.
Jesse Q, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. All right, thank you, Judge. Next, we have number 29, which is a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the town to establish a community choice aggregation CCA program, and to authorize the town manager to develop a plan to aggregate the retail electric loads within the town through a community choice aggregation program in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 39-3-1.2. Further, the town council direct the town manager to appropriate town departments to provide regular updates to the full town council regarding the development and implementation of the aggregation plan and CCA program. Is there a
I'll
motion?
move the motion.
We have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Deb. So either Deb or Eva, go ahead and give us a summary.
Yeah. Okay. So there is one. There was supposed to be another attachment. So I was going to have Dan put it up on the screen so that we can kind of go over what exactly the timeline would entail. But as you know, we on May 27th, we had a meeting and we directed the town manager to explore the CCA option for potential cost savings of energy supply for the town and residents, and that was unanimously approved. We actually had a presentation by Jamie Rose of Good Energy to discuss the CCA in more detail, and that was on June 7th. And then so he stated the process to implement, and it does take about 9 months. So Deb and I put the resolution on to start the process. And one of the important points is that there's no commitment by the town until step 11. So we could always, walk away from the process at any point. But it does take, 9 months, as we said. So this just gives you, Dan just put up the slide with the time frame. So again, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to develop, and plan approval is 4 weeks. So that's 2 meetings, and then there's the review, PUC review and approval is usually expected in 3 months, and then the bidding process is likely another 2 months. Then 6-week outreach that will include price comparison, provide the ability to opt out. So again, this is an opt-out program, but there is going to be communication with the public to allow for opting out. So it's not like everyone's going to be aware that we're in the process of this. So again, it takes 9 months, so that's why we put this on, so we could get the ball rolling. So Deb, I don't know if you have any other comments to make about the CCA or.
I just wanted to mention that I think when Jamie gave his presentation, Patrick had some questions that I believe Jamie has answered. And so we should be able to move forward. Is that right, Patrick?
Well, I have other concerns.
Okay.
I did look at that paperwork, the math. I did a little math, and I don't know, I may be wrong. I'm basing on 20% opting out. I came up with average savings of $6 a month. I might be wrong, but that was the information. That was my computation. Might be wrong, but the other thing, one of the things I don't like is basically we're providing a town council mandate. We're voting people into this program, whether they want it or not. To me, that's a mandate. I don't like mandates. I know you have a choice to opt out, but for this group, I don't think having an opt-in works for them. I think they have to sign everybody up. So.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by they have to sign everybody up?
Well, if they say they didn't have the opt-out provision.
Right.
And you had to opt in, just the opposite of what they're proposing. Their program won't work.
Right.
Most
but
people
that's not
don't
what
pay
they have.
attention.
Right. But that's not what they have. That's one of the reasons they went to opt out rather than opt in.
Right. But for me, again, opting out, once you know about the plan and you see your bill, you say, oh, well, okay, who's this on my bill? And they say, well, I want to opt out. That's a mandate. We're voting for a mandate to force people.
You can opt out before the.
I
the
know
program
this.
even-
I know this.
Don't yell at me, please.
I'm not yelling.
Sure
Right,
sounded
last
like it
week
to
I'm
me.
Sexist. This week I'm yelling. Okay, it's going well. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of mandates. To me, this is a mandate for a private company. So that's where I'm at.
So one thing, I understand that concern too. Who likes an opt-out in general as a customer? Nobody really likes that. It's annoying whether it's some web service or whatever it is. But let's remember that everybody's already in an opt-out. So National Grid is the default that you have to opt out of if you don't want to use them.
Right.
So we're basically changing the opt-out to a less expensive opt-out. Or at least that's the idea.
Well, not Not necessarily. Sometimes they miss the bid and you actually pay more under this program.
Right, but sometimes
So-
most of the time, they're less expensive. So are you, how many customers, so either way, it's an opt-out, whether it's National Grid or whether it's
Right, that's right.
provider. And for the customer or the homeowner, there's literally no difference in service because
Right.
it's still serviced by
Correct.
National Grid.
Right.
So it's just cheaper supply.
I'm sorry, Jesse, can I just say this? This is an opt-out, but it's a pretty knowledgeable opt-out because there's a great deal of information that's going to be provided to individuals before they have to make that decision. And in my experience, in most opt-out situations, nobody tells you anything. So I think that's a big, huge difference. And it's one of the things that separates it from some of the mandates that Patrick is referring to. I think it's important to remember that.
Well, I'm still trying to get rid of that pottery magazine. That
Well, I
keep getting.
understand.
I opt out of that. I've been
That's
getting it
my-
for years.
Yeah.
Right?
But are you paying for
I
it?
don't even like pottery.
But are you paying for it?
I don't know.
They're probably just
I
giving it
think
to
they
you.
feel sorry for me because of all the letters I wrote. So I think they just gave it to me for free, and I
That
get a
could be.
lifetime subscription. You know?
Well,
So,
it makes good
any
fodder for the
concerns?
fireplace.
Any concerns? It is nice to know that we have quite a bit of time to make a final decision on this. There's time to speak to leaders in other towns to understand their experience that they've had under these programs. And we're not committing to anything. If it was a commitment to this, if we were saying right now we have to commit, I would not be comfortable doing that.
Right, I
But
agree.
it's really not that. And if we want to see this happen in this term while we're still here, we pretty much have to start now.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just going to get pushed to the next term. So, any other comments, Susan?
I'm on the fence with this. I think I'm going to abstain because I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't like the opt-out.
Can I make one other point that to me is extremely important? And that is that we're talking also about the ability to have our electrical power come from renewable sources, which in this day and age is an extremely important point. And, I certainly respect if somebody decides they want to opt out of that. But, in the long run, in the world, in the long run in our society, it makes a great deal of sense to move towards renewable energy. And this is a way that's going to be harmless. It doesn't have any immediate impact on anybody. Their lights are going to come on or not, because, that's been happening lately too. Whether we do this or we don't. So the downside seems minimal to me. I think it's a really strong thing to do in favor of reducing, carbon-based energy, and I think it's a really beneficial thing to the people who live in Narragansett.
Is there a coal plant option here? Or, not a,
Did you ever live near a coal plant? Because I did.
Yeah.
It's pretty ugly.
All right, why don't we go ahead?
I'm sure you had them shut down, though. I'm sure you had them shut
I
down.
did, Patrick. You're right.
We have
At least Emma's laughing. She likes it. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Dan, who do we have from the public?
We have Catherine Celebrato.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Patrick. I don't think we should go down this road at all. There was absolutely no guarantee that anybody would save any money. You're talking about the town council voting to put us in an alternate energy company. Right now it's National Grid, but they sold out. So PPL is going to be the new company. We haven't even talked to them. We have no idea what they're going to charge us. This is the opt-out provision. We have a big elderly population in this town. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. They certainly don't want reams of paperwork like you're saying. And the other thing is you have a population like my husband and I, we're not here year round. So now this mail better follow us so we can opt out. But I'm just totally opposed to the town council going down
Okay, thank you, Catherine.
this road at all. And I just see, I'm pretty much, let's face it, well, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here. We can hear you.
All right. Well, I'm just, like I said, I'm totally opposed to go down this road at all. The devil you know, sometimes better than the devil you don't know. And they all want to charge us, let's face it. What are we going to save? Maybe if less than 20 people, I have a funny feeling that a lot of people are going to opt out of this because they're, like I said, a lot of people like my husband and I, we're not here year round. We don't want to go to some company that we never even heard of. I just don't even think we should bother with this, frankly. And Jamie, whatever his name was, there was no guarantee we were going to save any money at all. So why go there? Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Eva or Deb, do you guys want to explain like the details of how this works? I feel like there's a little bit of confusion on the logistics of it because it's still administered by National Grid.
Right, it's administered by National Grid, but now what happens is that the organization that Jamie represents goes out and finds renewable energy there's the issue about the aggregation is the cost is aggregated across a wide population, and consequently it brings the costs down. So the fact of the matter is that renewable energy is getting cheaper and cheaper all the time, and fossil fuels are getting more expensive all the time. And so, at some point in time, they're going to know. I don't know why it's a mandate. It's just logic. So the fact of the matter is that I think, is there a risk? There's a risk in every single thing we ever do. So sure, there's a risk. But the fact of the matter is, I'd like to kind of, I just think it's important that we consider not just ourselves and not just any other thing, but the environment. And when you consider the environment and you consider the fact that, the actual administration of this process is not going to change in any way, National Grid, PPL, whoever they are, they're going to have to follow this process because it is mandated by the state of Rhode Island, actually. So I don't, is there something else in specific that you want to know, Jesse?
No, I just want to, it's actually not a very big change on the front end for the user.
Nope, not at all.
Right.
I thought it'd be a good opportunity. Again, like we're not committed until, far along in the process. So if we find out like later on from other towns and municipalities that, it's or cities, but they're not getting, we can back out. So now they did get, I think South Kingstown, there's a few of them that actually
four.
Yeah, 4. So they just recently, got approved. So we'll have that opportunity to see. And then again, but it's getting the ball rolling for something that could be beneficial to our town. So, you kind of miss the boat a lot of times when we wait and see. And then the next thing, it's like falls by the wayside and we don't have that, and a different council, who knows, but I just,
also,
I thought it wasn't anything to lose out. I was surprised it's that controversial.
So. Yeah, me too. The other thing I will say is what the 4 towns in Rhode Island have gotten, the step that they've gotten to is the PUC authorization. So they're about 2/3 of the way through this process. So we will have, which means that, if they're 2/3 of the way through, they'll probably be done by sometime this fall. And it's way ahead of our schedule. So we will be able to see what's going on. We'll have a little time to understand what's happening before our last ability to get out of this process happens.
Okay, looks like we have a few more hands up. Dan, who do we have next?
Next is Karen Shipshalowitz.
Karen, please state your full name and address.
Shipshalowitz, 63 Wanda Street. I don't have the in-depth knowledge that you have by studying this. My only concern is National Grid, and I'm not a big National Grid or Suez water supporter at all. They did have backup when we've had hurricanes where people were coming from far away to support the problems we were having with power. Like I remember in 91 during Bob, we were out of power for 5 days. And, I'm really worried that this other organization doesn't have the backup for something that's that's a utility. And again, I haven't really studied this, but it's very scary when you lose your utilities for a period of time. And I'm just afraid of a catastrophic thing like a hurricane or something that causes quite a bit of damage. Do they have the personnel to repair what's going on. Maybe I'm missing the point.
So it would still be the same administration and service through National Grid. It's basically the energy.
Lease. It's a lease.
Right, it's a lease. Yeah, so National Grid would still be your provider in terms of service and administration.
Oh, they would. So
Yeah.
so I keep getting all these telemarketing phone calls and I just hang up. They want you to change your energy source or all the time. And I'm just really weary of, going away from the tried and true. I don't totally understand then why National Grid is the umbrella organization and they would put their mechanics and bring people in from out of state to fix us at a crucial time.
Yep.
Is that it?
That's right. So the town would be able to purchase energy at a different rate in bulk from a different provider. National Grid would still handle all the customer facing services.
Right. Maintenance of the lines.
And
Power
disaster
outages.
recovery.
Yeah.
And disaster recovery as well.
Correct.
That would make us have to stand in line till the tried and true 100% National Grid people would be ahead of us in line. Is that true?
No.
Okay. I admit, I don't know. But I just know it's scary to be without power for that amount of days.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. All right, Dan, who else do we have?
Next is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Dan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I do want to thank you. I thank you very much for investigating ways to save money. I like this idea. Let's. I wish all the council people would always come up with some ideas on how we can save money. Pay attention to finance. I think that's what's missing in so many of the political arenas. They do it politically nice thing to do, but the costs are sometimes ignored too often. Not all the time, but too often. So I want to thank you for pursuing this. And I'd like to see you continue to pursue it and look at it and let's go right till the last minute to see what the savings are. Because I know I had some phone calls too, where you can save 10%. In fact, I even joined one of them. I had a tenant and myself joined one of them. And I think there was an 8% deduct. But then there was a hiccup on paperwork, I guess. I forget what happened. Something happened. So we went right back to the original. So savings are out there. And I want to hear all the savings that are possible as long as possible until until you make the final decision and sign. But I want to keep it open. Let's hear more. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Looks like we have one more hand. Dan, who's up next?
Next is Thomas Mann.
Thomas, please state your full name and address.
Thomas Mann, 65 Oak Hill Road. I just wanted to make a comment that it sounds like you have the opportunity to not move forward with this at some point in the future before it gets implemented. And I know there's concern about the opt-out, but I'll tell you that I'm concerned about seniors and folks who don't pay attention and who get swindled by these phone calls that people get daily, because there's a lot of sharks out there selling energy, and people sign up for it with a great introductory offer, and then they get bamboozled 6 months later. This is a legit program sponsored by the town, and because you're aggregating energy with all residents, you're almost guaranteed to have a lower rate than the last resort offer by National Grid. So if you do nothing, your last resort, and they call it last resort, National Grid, and it's not the cheapest rate. It's not a good move, but I would say the majority of people probably are not aware and don't competitively shop their rates. And a lot of people get swindled. Any institution or large business competitively bids their electric rate and gets a great deal. You know, we do that where I work, and I compared it to what I'm paying with National Grid in the last resort. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're really getting swindled here. So I think it's really, really low risk. I think it would be a good move for you all to pursue this further. But I could understand that the public might have concerns because of the opt-out. But, you know, you could always, you know, address that later if it turns out you're not going to get the best rate. But I would suggest that you move forward with this, because I think it does better protect our seniors and those who aren't paying attention to this, because this, I'd rather people get involuntarily opted into a legitimate program that has actual competitive bidding than to be swindled by some of these phone calls that you get, or to do nothing and get swindled by National Grid. No offense to National Grid, but you know, they're definitely not the cheapest rate.
Thanks, Thomas. Okay. Any last comments by the council before we go ahead and vote?
Oh.
Susan?
I'm gonna abstain. I just feel uncomfortable with I love renewable energy and all that, but the ops, you know, having to get out of the program is a concern, and I just don't know enough about it. And so I'll defer to you guys, but I'm gonna abstain at this point.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and call the vote. All in, you have a
Yeah, I
question?
just want to, yeah, I mean, I listen, I totally understand what's going on here, and it doesn't work if there's not an opt-out component to this. They have to sign everybody up, and then people opt out if they don't want. I mean, I understand their business model. I get that, but I don't want to. There are other programs you can sign up for. Some have fees, some don't have fees. There are percentages. There's all kinds of different plans out there to reduce your electrical bill. Solar panel, it's like that one, right? But I am pro-choice when it comes to my electrical needs. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, all in favor, starting with Susan.
I'm gonna, Susan Cicilline Bonanno, abstain.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
I'm gonna pass. No.
No, right? Not abstain. No?
No.
Okay. Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 3-1 with 1 abstention. All right. Number 30 is a motion to direct the town manager to research water safety options such as life ring cabinets and or other water safety equipment in Narragansett. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
We have a second.
Second.
All right. Susan, or sorry, Patrick or Eva, you guys want to speak on this?
Yeah, so we put this agenda item on in the past. You know, there have been, we've heard issues with, there's a lot of areas in Narragansett that are not safe. So we thought that having this option, this opportunity to have these life safety ring cabinets in those areas, like, throughout the pier, Hasbrook or whatnot, would be actually a great thing to have, because drowning can happen very quickly and seconds matter. So that's kind of, I don't know, Patrick, if you want to add any more to that.
Yes. Yeah, it was Mr. Beck, Mr. Edward Beck, who started the rescue many years ago. Had a boat, a rescue boat, and life rings have, it has it in Newton Rock. They've been showing up on and off for years. They get vandalized. I think maybe Jim may want to look into something that is, so there's gotta be a type out there where it's, vandalized proof, or when it's used, an alarm goes off at the dispatcher's office automatically, so they know there's something going on there. As soon as somebody touches it, there's got to be some type of wireless component to that. So certainly we've had issues down there in different areas. I think we should also have a sign, do not step on black rocks. That's when people go sliding into the water. It's that simple. So I'm saying that one for you. So this is an attempt to, maybe save a life.
All right. Susan, any comments?
No comments.
Deb?
I was just wondering, because Patrick brought this up, are the ones that were in the motion, are they I couldn't see anything about vandal proof, or if they can do that. Is that possible?
I don't think, I think
Or you're just being
nothing's really vandal proof. I mean, I just think what you need to have is some type of alarm go off, like at the dispatcher's desk. They monitor everything from sewer lines to, business alarms. I mean, if there was some type of, if you pull it off the rack, an alarm goes off and people get a text or people get,
But you don't know for sure if that is something that you can actually get.
Oh, I'm sure there's
Okay,
there's some type of electronical solution for that issue.
Yeah,
So
these
I'm sorry.
don't, Deb, I'm sorry. So the one, so in the packet, it's the Glaston, it's the water, it's the Glaston brand one. So they have like the life ring cabinets. So they
Yeah, I
have
see it.
yeah. So and they're not really that expensive. I mean, we could definitely look at other options, like if they have, I haven't researched all of them. I think that if there's something out there where like Patrick is saying, that they're that sophisticated.
Right.
But I'm sure those come with a price tag too. I was just looking to do something cost effective and just, add,
But did you get to talk to the fire chief or anybody in public safety that would be able to guide
that's
you
what-
to purchase?
Yeah, we can do, we put it on, but
Because that would probably, maybe Michelle's on, maybe through, the expertise of the guards or the fire department. We have a lot of people that could make a recommendation on an item, I would think.
But I think that's that's the idea of sending us to Jim to do the
Jim, and
research.
then Jim will get his
We
people.
have started on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I couldn't hear you, Jim.
We have already started on it.
Oh,
I
you have,
spoke
okay.
initially and
Okay.
approach it with the chief.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
great
no, I
idea.
think this is great. That is like the big complaint that we get. We talked about parking down in Hazard and Newton, and the complaint that we heard was that people shouldn't be down there anyway because it's not safe. So we need to do what we could do to alleviate that problem. And this is a pretty straightforward solution. And again, it's a directive to do the research. And I think as we talk through this, I would like to see all the options. I don't care how expensive it is. We want to see those options. Because in the long term, you recoup that money anyway. So if you have a GPS or some sort of alert, that's going to end up saving us money down the road.
Right.
So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
All right.
in conclusion, in the event that I do fall off Hazard Rock, I'm going to opt out on using the ring in the spirit of saving taxpayer money. Thank you.
If you stay off black rocks, I think you'll be okay.
I always stay away from those black rocks. Those are the bad ones.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So if there's no other questions or comments, we'll take the vote. All in favor, start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Banano, aye.
Eva?
Eva Zuzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And do we have a motion to extend the meeting? I'm just kidding.
Isn't that the end of the meeting?
I'm kidding, because we always
I was like,
Can I opt out
I'll make
again?
a
I'm
motion
gonna
to
opt out on this one.
opt out of my jokes. That's fine.
I got it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, seconded by Patrick. All in favor, starting with
Cicilline Banano, aye.
Eva?
Eva Zuzinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye. Thank you.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Night,
Great
everyone.
evening, everybody.
Welcome if you got 'em.
Enjoy that extra hour there.
Yeah.
2 hours,
right.
2 hours.
2 hours, right? Bye.
Bye.
I